All right. So let's watch this video about the derecho in Iowa that Iapo sent me. Hold on one second.
Hi, my name's Bailey. I'm getting ready to take a shower at noon on a Friday with a lantern in the dark because I don't have power, and neither does about 500,000 Iowans. We suffered a natural disaster on Monday that there is absolutely no national news coverage on, so I'm going to talk to you about why you should care what is happening in Iowa right now. Early Monday afternoon, Iowa was hit with a derecho, which is basically a land hurricane in Iowa. My house was one of the lucky ones. We just had a bunch of trees go down in our driveway, but there are so many Iowans that are struggling right now. To put Iowa into perspective, we're number one in corn production, number one in soybean production, number one in pig production, and number one in egg production. And so far, almost 50% of the state's crops were destroyed in the storm. This picture was taken a couple days ago from space. The light green shading you see there is flattened fields. You can see it from space, and there is still no national news coverage.
Anyways, I just want to play that for you. That is an ongoing situation. In Iowa, they're suffering. They're still suffering effects from that HO. So when she said there's no national news coverage, I had to stop and think about that. Like, I guess there really hasn't been a lot of news coverage about this. But that's kind of what's happening these days, in these days and times, is that, sorry, my buttons are not working very well today. The news is so wrapped up in politics and, very surfacey kind of, so the soap opera of politics and what's going on. And, it's just a cutaway to Trump speaking, or a cutaway to somebody in the House speaking, or a cutaway to Nancy Pelosi speaking, right? I am sweet leaf, so people don't freak out about food shortages. Exactly. But right, they're not talking about the Arctic ice being incredibly low. They're not going to show any of those pictures of the North Pole. They're not talking about, they kind of have to talk about the wildfires because it's such a big thing and it's affecting so many people. So they are talking about the wildfires. Are they linking it to climate change? Absolutely not. Of course. So all of these extreme weather events that are happening everywhere, they really try to minimize them as much as possible, or just not cover them. Gene, Iowa is number one in soil depletion, GMOs, right? I saw that. Sultan Bev, UK grain harvest predicted to be 30% down this year. Yes. That is also happening. China, UK, Iowa, the three off the top of my head that I can think of where, crops have been destroyed. I know that there are more. And yes, if they cannot report on this for as long as possible, or maybe, just not even say anything while food prices continue to go up and up and up and up, and they can blame it on coronavirus, or they can blame it on other things. But let's not talk about climate change. Let's not do that. Where was I? Here's a good tweet from someone named Padraic Fogarty. No government programs, no schemes, quote unquote, no dollops of public money. Take away the grazing animals in the forest springs out of the ground. Rapid and effective climate biodiversity action at near zero cost. Exactly. Too easy? Question mark. Exactly. This is the ultimate new Green Deal, right? You don't have to build batteries and build solar plants and build all this stuff, build Teslas. You don't have to, you don't have to earmark all kinds of money, trillions of dollars, billions of dollars, put people to work, green new jobs. This is one of the best and biggest things we could do for the environment right now today. Take away grazing animals, take away humans. Stop. Just set up huge areas of land where nobody's allowed. Nobody's allowed to graze animals. No humans are allowed in. And much like the Chernobyl exclusion zone, it's an exclusion zone. Nobody allowed. This would go a long way in environmental recovery. And again, yes, it's absolutely free. Very little cost involved. Anyways, let's get into this article that is very interesting. This is from the British Ecological Society.org. Younger generation fail to notice environmental decline due to generational amnesia, risking conservation longevity. This is from August 21. Young people are not as aware of environmental changes compared to the older generation, according to a new report published in People and Nature by Royal Holloway, University of London, and international conservation charity ZSL, or the Zoological Society London, due to a phenomenon known as shifting baseline syndrome. Shifting baseline syndrome. I believe we have it. The UK-based paper showcases a reduced awareness of issues such as the decline in bird biodiversity and abundance within their area compared to several years ago, meaning vital naturalist knowledge is being lost over generations without people noticing. Well, yeah. Excuse me. I actually I actually think this has also to do with why a lot of the neo-denier kind of tendencies or feelings that people have around the fact that we don't need that everything's fine, right? There's nothing wrong with the ecosystem. Nobody's dying from environmental problems because the air is clear. The air is clean. The water is clean, or cleaner than it was 30 or 40 years ago, because everything is hidden away, right? Because we passed all these laws that, mandated that certain levels of environmental degradation be done away with, right? So because these things aren't in our face, because we're not seeing, thick clouds of smog every day or thick clouds of smoke right in our faces, we're not affected by it. So, everything's fine. What are you talking about? I see birds. There's no smog in the air, blah, blah, blah. It creates a situation where, because people don't see the problem, they don't feel there's a problem. So anyways, this worrying gap in knowledge and perception surrounding environmental data and conservation needs between the older and younger generation could hinder efforts to emphasize the urgent need for conservation action for declining species. SBS describes a persistent downgrading of perceived normal environmental conditions with every new generation, leading to underestimation of the true magnitude of long-term environmental change on a global scale. The presence of SBS could impact the validity of traditional and local ecological knowledge and participatory techniques, as well as conservation target setting. However, despite increasing recognition, there has been little empirical evidence for SBS until now. The study used large-scale online questionnaires to collect public perceptions of long-term biological change regarding 10 UK garden bird species such as goldfinch, blue tit, and house sparrow, as well as demographic information and measures of knowledge and experience of the local environment. A paired data approach compared social perceptions to a large-scale longitudinal biological dataset provided by the British Trust for Ornithology, using information theoretic and model selection techniques. The authors estimated the relative importance of multiple demographic, social, and psychological predictors of SBS. This proved a comprehensive framework for exploring and proving actual evidence of SBS and its impacts on perceptions of conservation need for species in decline. Lead author and PhD student Lizzie Jones from Royal Holloway's Department of Biological Sciences and ZSL's Institute of Zoology said, There needs to be more intergenerational communication about the environment and conservation issues. People tend to compare current ecological conditions to reference points set within their own experience, forgetting or ignoring valuable historical information. Right. This research supports the need to encourage greater intergenerational communication and increase experience of a local nature. Knowledge of past environments is critical to evaluate current conditions, comprehend change, and set effective conservation targets for the future. That's all I'm going to read of that. Yes, of course. Well, and it's, I mean, literally what people talk about on this channel quite often and on, you know, in other forums, people who are older, people who are my age, right? People who are in their 50s and 60s saying, like, 30 years ago, when I drove my car down the highway for, 20 or 30 miles, my entire windshield would be covered in bugs. And now I can drive 200 or 300 miles round trip and get nary a bug on my windshield, right? That's generational ecological memory, right? So that people rely on to understand the damage that's already been done. Right, Duncan McCown. When I was a kid, I used to see swarms of June bugs every late spring. Hardly see any anymore. Duncan, there was a predominance of June bugs just like 5 or 6 years ago, right here, right at this house where I live. There used to be June bugs that would smash up against the screen door every night, and they'd be all over the place. And now there are none. I saw one June bug this entire summer. So just within the last 5 or 10 years, I remember this. But the thing is, if you're not paying attention, then you're not paying attention. You wouldn't notice it. Kind of like when people, I know I'm going to bring in a touchy subject, but kind of like when people talk about contrails in the sky, what people say chemtrails. Well, if you're not looking at it and noticing it and remembering it, and you're saying that people that do notice it and look at it and remember it, you'd call them those people crazy. Well, then you're not encouraging people to take a look at what's happening around them and take notice of what's happening around them. But like, you can say the same thing for birds, insects, all kinds of animal species, right? You're taking notice of your environment and you're saying, hey, I noticed this has been happening over a certain period of time and I'm seeing differences, I'm seeing changes, or I'm seeing like weird things happening, right? Anyways, also I would include in this memory or in this awareness that people are having around the environment or how the environment is changing or shifting around them. People don't spend as much time as they used to outdoors. People spend a lot of time indoors in their air-conditioned or heated homes or office spaces or cars looking at screens, right? Looking at their phone, looking at computers. So they're not taking in, the natural world around them informationally. They're not doing that on a daily basis. They're losing a lot of information because they're spending so much time indoors. And this is becoming a phenomenon that I notice, in my daily activities or daily interactions with other people. I notice that people spend a lot of time indoors where it's air conditioned or heated, and they're not noticing what the outside temperature is or the fluctuation in temperatures are. They're not noticing changes in their environment or the biota around them. They're not noticing changes in the bugs or the birds or the wild animals in their vicinity. They're just like, ooh, the outside, ooh. This is a huge inhibitor of people understanding that they are part of the natural world, that they belong in the world, that, that people there's an interface. What was I reading yesterday? The wildlife urban interface. Ridiculous. What are we, robots? Are we computers? We don't interface with wildlife. We don't interface with the world. We are part of the world. We are animals. We come in contact with germs, viruses, microbes, dirt, right? We get dirty. We exist and we interact with wildlife in the outdoors, and we should do that and shouldn't be afraid of doing that. If you exist all day long inside of an office space or your house or an airplane or your car, and you're, oh germs, I'm a germaphobe. Oh, I've got to like sanitize myself all the time. Oh my God. There are so many problems with existing like that, with living in a world like that. And with your lack of awareness of the world, if you live like that in the world, right? So this creates a situation where people can't even take in information about the world because they feel like they need to live in a disconnected way with nature, right? Yeah, no, we're not. There's no interface. There's no urban wildlife interface. No, there's just a place where human civilization exists, and in wildlife, that ends and wildlife begins. But, we don't interface with it. We either are in it or we're not. So, what the hell? It's just so ridiculous. This verbiage is ridiculous. G. Demarest, my ex considered dirt to be unhealthy. I know. Actually, it's unhealthy if you don't ever get dirty, right? If you're not exposed to dirt, right? Children should be encouraged to go play in the dirt because you come in contact with biomes and microbiomes and all kinds of stuff that help your body maintain resistance to diseases, right? So that is extremely unhealthy. If you think that dirt or any germs at all or any viruses at all or anything having to deal with the outside world or nature at all is unhealthy, you are the unhealthy one. You are unhealthy. If you live all day indoors in an AC and you stare at the computer all day, you are unhealthy. You are not, yes, exactly. Kirsten Strand, sickos have taken over. You're sick. You need to get well. You need to go out in nature. You need to go interact with nature. You need to go get dirty. Go swim in the ocean, whatever. Go get sand in your hair. Get off the cement. Get out of the concrete jungle. Anyways, let's move on. There's obviously so much happening, and it's already late in the day. Let's look at some hurricanes. Hurricane warnings issued as Gulf Coast prepares for back-to-back strikes from Marco and Laura. Louisiana could see an unprecedented 2 hurricane landfalls in 3 days. Marco striking Monday, and the more formidable Laura late Wednesday. So Laura is a larger hurricane. Look at that, if you can see that image. Pretty wild. And we will see what happens with that. The northern Gulf Coast is bracing for a rare 1-2 hurricane punch as 1 tropical storm and 1 hurricane. Laura and Marco, respectively, set their sights between Louisiana and East Texas. Marco, predicted to make landfall in southeast Louisiana on Monday, is the most immediate threat. Hurricane warnings are posted from Morgan City in south central Louisiana to the mouth of the Pearl River between New Orleans and Gulfport. A storm surge warning. This is key. Storm surge warning has been hoisted for Morgan City east to near Biloxi, Mississippi, where the ocean water could rise up to 6 feet above normally dry land. Grand Isle and extreme southeast Louisiana is under a mandatory evacuation order. Downtown New Orleans is under a hurricane watch and tropical storm warnings because of Marco and is likely to contend with tropical storm force winds and heavy rain, which could cause flash flooding. The city's levee system, however, should protect it from the predicted surge. After Marco sweeps inland, Laura will follow late Wednesday or early Thursday. Parts of Louisiana could be affected by hurricanes twice in 3 days, for which there is no recorded precedent. Golly, do you think that's what's the word? What am I looking for? Is that climate change? Do you think that's climate change? This is pretty crazy. San Diego ocean temperatures jumped nearly 20 degrees, hitting 77 in La Jolla. That is super warm for the Pacific Ocean waters. Scientists attribute the change to a big drop in upwelling. The heat wave is over, but it is having a lingering effect on temperatures of the ocean off San Diego County. Ocean temperatures have soared lately, largely because of the massive high-pressure system that produced the heat wave extinguished the northwest winds that were blowing warm surface waters away from the coast, allowing colder, deeper water to rise. The phenomenon is known as upwelling. Sea surface temperatures at the Scripps Pier in La Jolla shores hit 77.2 degrees on Thursday. That is, well, I mean, I'm sure it's delightful to swim in for sure, but very, very warm. The highest reading ever recorded at that site on August 20, and a figure that was almost 20 points higher than it was 3 weeks ago. We've gone from a daily low of about 60 up to 77, and it could go higher, said Alex Tardy, a forecaster of the National Weather Service. We usually don't see fluctuations like that. The average temperature at the pier this time of year is in the 70 to 71 degree range, the Weather Service said. Ocean temperatures in San Diego County have dropped into the 50s and 60s in late July and early August due to upwelling, leading many surfers to haul out their full wetsuits. The rapid warming isn't just happening in a pocket at the Scripps Pier. There is a lot of warm water offshore, so we could see ocean temperatures continue to rise. Let's see. This is a good tweet from Ben C, or at Climate Ben 2020 says, okay, I've got hottest ever recorded temperatures for you in both the Arctic and Antarctic, plus 130 Fahrenheit in Death Valley, the hottest ever reliably recorded on Earth, and 2 hurricanes in the Gulf of Mexico simultaneously. First in recorded history, the media says, or shrugs, bad weather. That's it. Oh, well, you look at this crazy weather we're having? Whoa. What could it be? What could it be? You know, we have record wildfires, inland hurricanes wiping out crops, 2 hurricanes in the Gulf. Whoa, will you take a look at that? That's really strange. It's really strange, guys. Another really strange year for hurricanes. I wonder what's happening. Wonder what's going on. Hey, guys, remember to like, share, and subscribe, and you can support the channel at the links below, PayPal, Patreon, Square. Also, if you'd like to watch the live streams, you can watch the live streams on my Patreon channel. You can subscribe for as little as $1. So hopefully I will see you over there, and thanks so much.